Hi, good morning, everyone. Let me just make sure for 1 second that this is working. Bear with me, just give me 1 second. I'm going to make sure that the link I just sent out is actually working. The last live stream I sent the wrong one, so you might hear my voice here for a second. Give me 1 second here. All right. There we go. Okay, looks to be good. All right, good morning. Good morning. We got a few things to chat about, but this is the Spa Belgian Grand Prix review. We just fresh off what I think is the most magical F1 circuit on the calendar, and I'm thrilled. I guess they announced over the weekend that Spa will be coming back and will be on the grid next season. So very, very excited about that. And so we will chat about Spa. First off, if you've tuned into the other streams, you know that I like coffee, I like F1. So we're doing a little coffee chat here. So today, my mug of choice, I live in Nashville, so this is one of these days I'm going to spill this thing and you guys are going to see it live, but hopefully it's not today. All right. Fido. It's a great coffee shop here in Nashville. My brother-in-law, Wes, got this for me a couple, I believe 2 or 3 Christmases ago. Fantastic mug, great coffee shop. If you come through Nashville, check it out. It's really good stuff. Just drinking my Dunkin' Donuts coffee with heavy cream. And okay, so let's chat. So before we jump into the Belgian Grand Prix, a little bit of news dropped this morning around Mick Schumacher and Ferrari. So let's just go ahead and read it. Let's go ahead and read it together, straight from Autosport. Let's go over here. Here we go. So this, as you can see, is straight from autosport.com. Schumacher to cut Ferrari ties at the end of the 2022 F1 season. Mick Schumacher's relationship with Ferrari is to conclude in December, meaning that the German will be a free agent as he searches for a 2023 Formula One drive. Interesting. His original Ferrari Driver Academy contract will come to what one source called a natural end after the season. All right. Which then is going to continue to open up yet another seat. There are so many like mysterious open seats at a handful of teams right now that everyone's just waiting on. So looks like Haas is now thrown into that bucket. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what obviously happens with Schumacher. There's been a little bit of talk lately about, will he go to Alpine? Will he go somewhere else? Last night I also started to see reports claiming that Alpine has now shifted their attention to Pierre Gasly and trying to get him out of his contract with AlphaTauri. So again, it's you know, when you see these reports, you kind of they seem to have a bit of validity to them. However, until something is in writing and it's announced, it's so hard to accept any of this as truth yet. So we'll continue to wait and see what happens. But yeah, this is all interesting. Schumacher cutting ties with, or Ferrari cutting ties with Schumacher rather, and who knows? I don't think from what we've seen that he's overall that he has shown maybe his greatest potential so far this season. He's had a few races more recently that have been great actually, and would love to see more performances like those from him. Yet at the same time, he's also had quite a few poor, underperforming weekends, and so who knows? Obviously, I hate to see anybody lose out on, taking over the seat of a team on the grid, but you never know. There are always more people waiting in the wings. So these seats are so high demand, and I can't imagine the pressure that's on these drivers like Schumacher. So we'll see. We'll wait and see what happens with him. Hope he gets another drive, but I do hope he does not take one away from Ricciardo. Okay, so guys, I'm getting a little worried. I'm starting to get a little worried about my boy Danny Rick. Obviously, as I said in a previous stream, my hope would be that he would go to Alpine because he has driven not in that exact car, obviously, with the regulations and so forth being different than 2020. But man, 2 years ago, the dude drove the car and ended up 5th in the overall standings, almost 4th. So I sure hope he gets that drive, but all this talk about Gasly has got me a little worried that maybe he's not going to get that. And then if he doesn't get that, what's left? It's like Haas, Williams. Now I keep hearing, I'm starting to hear again. It's like, what do we trust here? There's constant chatter and new names being thrown out. But the latest this morning was, if I read it right, was maybe Williams. Was it Williams or Haas? One of them potentially considering Colton Herta. Maybe it was Haas for that seat. And so who knows? I want Danny Rick on the grid next season. I don't care which team he drives for. F1 just has to keep this dude. He is not at the end of his road yet. He is still like 33, I think. The dude has insane talent. Yes, he has been pretty disappointing this season, but he's just too good. He's too good for the sport. He's such a good dude. His marketability is off the charts. So if any team just wants to snag him for a couple years, I mean, everyone loves Ricciardo. Why would you not want to add him to your team for a couple years? So speaking of Ricciardo, I made some shifts on my shelf up here. I found an old F1 racing from back in August of 2014. Got to post that up. Baby Ricciardo up here. And then my boy Scott, my best friend, got me this beauty. Look at that. Are you kidding me? That is gorgeous. My first F1 replica helmet. Oh, it's just so good. So good. So, I've got a couple Ricciardos back here. You see that other one? That helmet? Oh, his helmets are so good. So, as I continue to build my Daniel Ricciardo museum in here, I'm just going to keep hoping that I hear news soon that he has a seat somewhere. Okay. So shifting off of the morning news, let's head over to let's head over to Belgium, to Spa, the most magical track maybe in the history of F1. There are so many good tracks. I have an emotional, personal connection to Coda in Austin because I had the privilege of going there last year for my first ever in-person F1 experience. So Austin, Coda will always play a special place in my heart. But I think overall, Spa, if I could go to any race, man, there's a lot of races I'd like to go to, but I think Spa would have to be at the top. There's just a magic about that place. It's like you watch a race and it sounds funny, but it's like there's magical dust just like floating over the circuit. Just seeing these cars tear through like poetry, man, tearing through the woods. Just that track, watching these cars race on it over the weekend for the race it's truly a privilege, and I'm so thankful that it's coming back next season, and I hope it's on the schedule for years and years to come. I think it would be wrong to remove that track from the grid, from the schedule. So happy it's back, and it's just you look at the overall track with its sequence of turns and the Kemmel Straight, which provides, as we saw over the weekend, so much opportunity for overtaking. I mean, my word, that's another reason Spa's great. There was so much overtaking, and I love that. We did get some trains, with Albon and so forth, and some other guys got stuck in those, like was it like Joe and Ocon, maybe Norris for a while. But overall, I think this track just offers everything. The beauty, there's always like a mist in the air. It's just gorgeous. It's beautiful. So, okay. So let's go ahead and switch over to the man of the hour, the man of the season, Max Verstappen. Guys, this dude is from a different planet. Max Verstappen, what are you doing to F1? Just absolutely destroying the competition. Guys, what is he driving? I mean, this thing is an absolute magical machine. But hey, Perez is in the same car, and hats off to Perez. The dude did incredible. He finished second? He did incredibly well. Yet at the same time, let me check my notes. Yeah, Max won by 18 seconds. Where did the dude start? He started in P14 after his grid penalties. Max Verstappen is not from Earth. Oh my word. Max Verstappen started the Belgian Grand Prix in P14. Okay? Let's recap a little of this. I took some notes. I went full geek mode and got my notebook out and took notes, which I've never done during a race, but it was kind of fun. Let's see here. Okay, let's just recap a little bit, okay? Lap 1. There was some craziness. Unfortunate craziness. So lap 1, Hamilton and Alonso have their unfortunate meeting on track. Hamilton has to retire shortly after. And, after watching the replay, it was Hamilton's fault. Hamilton turned in aggressively, way too hard on Alonso at the turn and left Alonso no room I mean, it's blatant. The dude turned so hard into him. And Hamilton, he's a class act. After the fact, he has owned up to it and apologized to his team and taken full responsibility for it, saying that he knew that Alonso was next to him somewhere, but he was in his blind spot at the time and was not able to actually see that he was right alongside him. So yeah. So great respect for Hamilton and owning up to that, which I feel like he's pretty quick to do when he's in the wrong. He owns up to it, which I really appreciate from Hamilton. It's a great quality about him. So hey, those things happen. You know, he messed up at that corner. Whether he saw him or not, we can take him at his word and believe that he didn't see him, and he just, you know, little racing incident there. But the thing that bums me out a little bit is Alonso's radio message after this happened. And again, like I've got nothing but love and respect for everyone on the grid. And hey, who am I? I'm a broken, imperfect human being. I say a lot of things, do a lot of things that are not perfect, that are far from perfect, and things that I wish I could take back or wish I hadn't said. Okay? So this is not me, you know, saying that. I think you get the point. Nothing but respect for Alonso. The dude is an incredible driver. But man, I just wish. So basically, Alonso, after the fact, to recap, he kind of bitterly lashes out and gives Hamilton a deep cut that I think was completely out of line and unnecessary. I mean, he could have just been like, "Oh man," and it's like I understand. I actually don't understand in the heat of the moment the adrenaline that is pumping through these guys. And sure, he's upset. I get it, but could this have been handled a little bit with a bit more grace towards Hamilton? Like, sure. And again, I don't fully understand the history there between the two of them. They've had some issues over the years from the time, when they were at McLaren together and so forth. But I just have a problem when these drivers are so bitter towards each other and snap so quickly. For a lack of a better way of saying it, it honestly comes off childish. It really does. I wish. I don't know why so many of these drivers hold such a bitterness towards each other. We hear about people like Gasly and Ocon having history from like their karting days, which is so long ago. Can we just make up and move on? And I mean, I can't imagine how awkward that makes it if they walk past each other. They work together. They're in the same league. They must rub shoulders all the time. Which also could, obviously, I hope Ricciardo gets the Alpine seat. But if Gasly does, they're gonna have to make up quickly. He and Ocon. But yeah, at the end of the day, I wish Alonso had handled it a bit more graciously. Again, who am I to say any of this? I'm just an F1 fan chatting from my closet home office here. But it's just a bummer when you hear the bitterness in these drivers' voices when things like this happen. They've all been there before. Every driver has turned in on someone else before. Let's show a little grace. The bitterness. Alonso's a grown man, a grown adult. And so when you see these guys kind of acting childish like that, it's just unfortunate. So I wasn't a fan of that. Alonso basically said, if I remember correctly, he just snapped off like a bitter line towards Hamilton about, this guy only knows how to start and win races from the front or something like that. And it's like, that's unnecessary. You don't need to cut another guy so deep like that, and he called him an idiot. It's like, that's not a good look. So and then on the Hamilton retiring topic, wow. Did you guys see on, what was it? It was lap 6 where they cut to, which I think is going to come down to, it's going to be one of those iconic shots. I truly believe. I hope we got video footage of it, but I hope someone got a great photo of it. That clip, that short clip of Hamilton walking, just looked so sad and so alone. He looked like he was on his own planet, walking in that dirt, that dirt gravel path alongside the track, just kind of hunched over, helmet looking down, shoulders drooped. Nobody anywhere in sight. It's just like dirt path, the edge of the track, and woods. Just what in the world? Like, where's that dude going? I sure hope nobody, I don't think there was footage. I sure hope someone came and picked that dude up. Otherwise, that would have been a long walk, I believe, back to the paddock. But that was a wild sight. Just kind of things you don't expect to see. Just Hamilton just off on his own. What? Looks like he's like walking off into the woods. And then we've got the Latifi spin, which was, again, so unfortunate, because then it in turn, Valtteri Bottas had to quickly swerve to get out of the way, and when he did that, he went too far into the gravel and beached himself and spun his wheels, and he couldn't get out. So Bottas was out right away. So that was a bummer to see. I like Bottas a lot, and but again, one of those unfortunate racing incidents that just happens sometimes. And what else? So, we also had Leclerc starting. Let me pull up here just so I get this correctly, where he started from. Was he right behind? Let's see, where did he qualifying? Trying to remember where Leclerc started. He was a ways back. Verstappen was 14th. I can't remember. Was Leclerc 17th? Maybe. But let's see where they. I'm looking up where they finished. Yeah, Leclerc. So Leclerc, again, there were a lot of unfortunate events in this race. Leclerc. So he finished 5th. However, he had that super bizarre call into the pits at the end of the race to switch tires and to try to get that fastest lap. And by doing that, it was super bizarre. So he pits at the end of the race, going for fastest lap. This is Ferrari's strategy. Again, just another I don't know, failure on Ferrari. I mean, they went for it, but he didn't get the fastest lap in the end, which makes it even worse. And he had a penalty. Leclerc had a penalty during that pit for speeding in the pit lane, which I think came down to 1 kilometer an hour over the limit. And it gets even more interesting. It's reported that it was most likely due to a faulty sensor that very well may have come from when Max ripped one of his tear-offs off his visor and let it go behind him, and it got caught up in Leclerc's car. I mean, what are the chances of that happening? It's just bonkers. So that was super unfortunate. So because of that, Charles finished 6th, but then because of the penalty, he got bumped down he finished 5th, and the penalty resulted in him getting bumped down to 6th. So, at this point, do Ferrari just kind of, do they move on? Do they move on to 2023 and start work on shifting their focus there? Because, I mean, who is going to catch Verstappen at this point? If he starts a race in P14, sure, this track may suit the Red Bull quite a bit. Obviously, it looks that way. This was an absolute masterclass by Red Bull, specifically Verstappen. Perez finished 2nd. But I mean, goodness gracious. Max starts the race in P14. He takes the lead in lap 12. Guys, who does this? I don't know if you hear that, but my stomach is going crazy. Max Verstappen starts in P14, takes the lead by lap 12. By lap 7, he was already up to P4. That is not something you see often. And so obviously he had the pace. He's an incredibly gifted driver. I mean, if the dude stays on this course, how old is Max Verstappen? Max Verstappen is 24. Guys, this is crazy. Max Verstappen is 24, okay? He's going to get this title unless something just insane happens, okay? So he's going to have 2 titles by the time he's 24. Let's say he just goes on a tear. Let's say if he continues at this rate and Red Bull continue to give him this car, a car that performs at this level year after year, let's say they go on a tear like Mercedes did over the last 6-7 years. He could theoretically tie Schumacher and Hamilton's record of seven titles by the time he's 29, and still have 10 plus years to go. Guys, this is unbelievable. I mean, again, who knows if he's going to get titles, or if other guys are going to swoop in and start taking race wins off of him, but which is likely to happen eventually. But the dude is truly on a different level. He's in a different league right now. I mean, if you start a race in P14, can take the lead by lap 12, and extend an aggressive lead over the rest of the grid, including your teammate who's in the same car, and finish the race, drive a beautiful race, and finish 18 seconds ahead. Guys, most people, if they start in P14, would call finishing on the podium a moonshot. Most drivers, if they start P14, they'd be like, my goal, I would love to maybe finish P6, P7. That would be unbelievable. But for him to only take 12 laps to take the lead and then finish the race 18 seconds ahead of his teammate in a Red Bull, that shows that this dude is from somewhere else. I mean, Max Verstappen, bro, well done. mean, it's something special to witness greatness like this. At the same time, I kind of wish Leclerc was still up there, neck and neck with him in the points, like Hamilton and Verstappen were last season, because it just makes the whole season as a whole more exciting. But it's still exciting. It's exciting to see someone absolutely dominate like Max. But at the same time, I wish the gap wasn't so big. So on that note, let's go ahead and let's take a look at the standings. Okay. So here are the standings, the overall driver standings after 14 races, after the Belgian Grand Prix. So look at Verstappen. Verstappen now has a 93-point lead after taking the win, and I believe he got the fastest lap, even though Leclerc tried for it. So that is a massive, massive lead. Guys, it's crazy. Look at Leclerc. What is that, 98? I'm horrible at math. Is that a 98? Yeah, 98-point lead that Verstappen has over Leclerc. And remember when at the beginning of this season, Leclerc at one point, I mean, he started the season. What did he win the first race? And his pace looked untouchable, if I remember correctly, in Australia. And there was a point early in the year where Leclerc had like a what was it, like a 38 or so point lead over Verstappen. And I remember Verstappen, talking about just feeling pretty defeated and honestly feeling like the title was out of their reach. And yet, after 14 races, here he is 98 points ahead of Leclerc. That is absolutely nuts. And 93 points ahead of his teammate Perez. Unbelievable. So yeah, we've got the Red Bulls, we've got the Ferraris taking up the top four. Mercedes, they're right there. They're right there. Mercedes had an incredibly unfortunate week in Belgium. I mean, Russell did finish P4, which the dude is absolutely Mr. Consistency. That George Russell, he is just smooth and consistent. You can just kind of, unless he has a DNF, that guy's going to finish in that top 5. He's amazing. But obviously Hamilton, his race ended before the end of lap 1. So who knows? Hamilton could have had a podium and his numbers here would look much better. But Russell being only a point behind Sainz is really impressive. So I know Toto Wolff has said, I believe he said that their Mercedes pace, especially in qualifying, was I think he said it was maybe their worst qualifying ever. And yeah, their pace, I think a lot of people were hoping that they were going to be a lot higher. I heard before the race a lot of people talking about Hamilton maybe even being able to fight for the win here, and it's a bummer that we never got to see what could have been. So hopefully he can fight for a win in the next race in the Netherlands. But so we'll see. But and then Norris is obviously points wise he's a ways behind Hamilton, but I feel like Norris he's just always there. He's always there as the best of the rest. So, I think if McLaren can dial in their car a bit better, especially after seeing what he did last year in the McLaren. He's also, you know, I think he's something different. Lando Norris, if he's got the right car, I think he's much, much further up. So really, really impressive to see what he's doing. You know, it was unfortunate. He finished the Belgian Grand Prix, in 12th? But at the same time, you know, McLaren just didn't look too hot, and he also started with the grid penalty, so that pushed him further back. He did end up finishing ahead of Danny Rick, which bummed me out. I was really hoping that we would see Ricardo, now that he can kind of just race on his own, now that he knows he's done at McLaren at the end of the season. I was hoping to see Ricardo come out and just be the Ricardo that we know of old and just go absolutely hog wild out there as the honey badger we know. And you know, maybe this is me just being a too much of a Danny Rick fan and too hopeful as a person. I was hoping Rick would come out and just smoke it and end up like P4 or P5 and just blow people away and, you know, make everyone realize, hey, if McLaren all along were just letting him be him and not micromanaging him and just letting him race as he wants to, he would have better results. But who knows if it was down to McLaren's pit strategy or what. But seeing him end up behind Norris when he started ahead of Norris bummed me out. I was really hoping we'd see something special from Ricardo at Spa. And Ocon and Alonso, man, those dudes really put in a performance in Belgium. Alonso finished P5, Ocon P7. Incredible drives from both of them. Alpine is looking hot. Those dudes are honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they both finished ahead of McLaren. Norris is going to be, you know, he's always going to put in a tough battle, but Alpine is a hot car right now, and so I think that final seat is on high demand. And sounds like Otmar Safnauer has mentioned that there's potentially 14 people who are interested in drivers who are interested in this seat, which I get it. That's a lot of people though, and I hope it's Ricardo. Please, Safnauer, put in Ricardo. Who knows what's going to happen? But so, and you know, looking at the rest of the, I love to see Latifi get a point by the end of the season. Just such a nice guy. And I've got to mention Williams. Alex Albon putting in a performance in Belgium and getting a P10, getting that final point, pushing his total up to 4, tied with Stroll in the overall standings. That's beautiful to see as a big Williams fan. I love it. You know, he was in a different league than Latifi. Latifi finished at the back, finished last again. Unfortunate, but so good to see Alex Albon coming out of the gate hot from the beginning of the race and really putting in a incredibly strong performance. If I heard it right, were they saying that he had in the, was it qualifying or in the race, Albon in his Williams had the fastest first sector, was it? So that Williams is improving and is looking real quick. So well done to Albon getting that final points spot in P10. Excellent stuff. And So Max Verstappen, I don't know what else we can say. You know, we're witnessing something special. We've been witnessing something special with, you know, when I started watching back in 09, I saw it's interesting to see the kind of passing of the torch from Vettel being so dominant for four seasons, getting 4 back-to-back titles. At the time, I'm thinking, when are we ever going to see this again? When were we ever going to see another Vettel? Then Hamilton comes along and just absolutely dominates, kind of blows Vettel out of the water and dominates in a whole new way. And now we're seeing, hopefully Hamilton still has one more in him. I want to see him get 8. I want to see him get 8 so bad. But Mercedes has to give him that car like they have over the past so many seasons. Because if they don't, Max, I believe, I mean, we've got to believe, because of the performances he's showing, if Red Bull continue to give him a car that is this competitive, who's going to match him? I mean, Max could take the next 10 titles, you know, who knows? So we are witnessing greatness. He's not finishing neck and neck. He's not finishing races half a second or a second ahead. He's finishing races like in Spa 18 seconds ahead of the next Red Bull. And he didn't start P1, P2, P3. He started in P14. I mean, if this race doesn't show the magic that is Max Verstappen, I don't know what does. So it's a privilege to watch this guy. Yes, Max is not my favorite driver, but man, it's fun to watch this dude. It's fun to watch magic happen on track. It's fun to watch someone who was born to drive. And Max, my hat's off to you, bro. Well done. I'm excited to continue to watch this dude produce magic on the track, and hopefully some other drivers can get in the mix and steal some wins every now and then to keep things exciting. But we're in a special time for sure. So I think that's it. One more thing, and I don't know if any of you think this too, but okay, so the helmet cams that they showed them a handful of times. Yes, I love seeing the perspective from the driver's perspective during a race, especially going through like Eau Rouge and up Radillon. You know, getting that perspective and seeing what the driver is seeing is fantastic. However, yes, that's great. But my word, these helmet cams are so brutal and shaky. The whole time I'm thinking, this is an awful camera angle. I mean, sorry, the angle is great, but because of all the jostling around and so forth, I mean, you can't, nothing's clear. So when they're showing those helmet cam shots, I don't know if you're thinking this, but I'm constantly thinking, is this really what it looks like for the driver? Because my goodness, how in the world are they staying on the track? I hope it's clearer than what the camera is showing, because all that jostling around, I'm thinking there's no way a human being could drive this car at this speed, wheel to wheel with other drivers, and stay on the track when it looks like this. I mean, it is insane. So yeah, that would honestly not be a fun drive if that's what the drivers are actually seeing. But again, these guys are special. That's why I'm not in the car and they are. So, all right, this week, another race week, back to back. We're heading to the Netherlands for where we are going to see the Orange Army out in a swarm for Max Verstappen. I think this race and the next, I can't remember what the next race is, but after the Netherlands. But yeah, this is Max land, Max territory. He's coming off an epic performance in Spa. and we'll see what happens in the Netherlands. But I'm expecting an absolutely dominant performance from Verstappen. We're going to see the orange smoke everywhere, and hopefully someone can get in the mix. I'd love to see Russell and Hamilton battling at the top. I'd love to see Leclerc battling up there. I'd love to see Daniel Ricciardo getting confirmed for a seat. Come on, someone scoop this dude up, or else I'm literally gonna go insane if we do not have this dude on the grid next season. So if you are watching this after the fact, drop a comment and let me know, what did you think of the Belgian Grand Prix? What do you think of Max and his dominance right now? And where do you want to see some of these guys go? Who do you think is going to end up at Alpine? Gasly, Ricciardo, Schumacher, someone else? Who do you think? So if you are watching live or after the fact, again, thank you so much. I love F1. I'm just a designer, a huge F1 fan, but doing this is a blast. And I cannot wait for the day when there are more people in the chat tuning in live, and so we can have more of a conversation. So tune in to the next one. I'll be doing more of these. I look forward to hopefully seeing more people chatting with me, having a conversation in the next live stream. But if you are watching it at any point, thank you. If you've made it this far, it means a ton to me. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. It helps me grow, and because I want to keep doing this more and more. And hopefully the audio is okay. Again, I'm using this lapel mic. Eventually, I'd like to get a better camera, a better mic, but for now, this will work. So thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the Belgian Grand Prix, and we'll look forward to chatting about the race in the Netherlands maybe next week. So thank you for tuning in. It means a ton to me. I truly appreciate it, and enjoy another race week. And I will look forward to seeing you